speak a little bit about some ideas about just everything, right? I'm the kind of person that I pay attention within my surroundings and my network to what people are thinking about, talking about, caring about, etc., etc. And I find it fascinating how we kind of exist in a sense of theory. That's kind of been the issue of our game this whole time. I now come to realize I do need to water my plants. Bear with me. Of course he did. I will do it later because he had to disconnect shit. I'm so oppressed. My hose has been disconnected. Man, somebody should impeach my father. No, but seriously, oppression in theory. Okay? It is very, very hard to tell unless you can really feel it by your lived experience of what's in front of you paying attention. The world was a different place 8 years ago. Even because this transcends politics, even when your guy lost, right? You know, oh my God, Trump lost, or whatever, right? Um, like, okay, there was the oppression that was very real in 2020. There was cultural oppression before that. Then the government stepped in because cultural oppression wasn't working anymore. And then that's why 2020 happened, to set up 2021 where the government would do the jab thing. And then that would take the pressure off of the statist living on the street, because then he had this whole fucking thing giving him this power of the state behind him, as opposed to the way things were just done culturally with all sorts of different things. And you know, when you lived through the pandemic and the jab situation in abject protest, you broke your own chains through great suffering. And through great suffering, I broke my chains. Maybe you didn't protest hard enough for yourself in those years. And so you can't fucking see it or feel it because you think, because you still drive down the street and the government exists and there's a cop. And even though nothing's happening to you, in theory, you are still oppressed because you choose to feel oppressed by the presence of the uniform and the badge and the implications that haven't changed technically in but at the same time it has, because so much of it was in the consciousness more than it was in the fucking letter of the law, where you find out that changing the letter of the law would not have fucking solved the fucking problem. And certainly it's not because I want the government to exist, but it is certainly because something has to exist because of the way fucking people that aren't like us are. Do you understand? So it's oppression in theory, right? It's like I spend a decent amount of time trying to look at what this deportation situation actually looks like when I'll sit there and I'll watch it and I'll be like, what's happening? What is happening to these illegal aliens? Especially because a lot of these illegal aliens are lying, or somebody's lying on their behalf, right? And saying, oh my God, they're a U.S. citizen, so on and so forth, right? Um, and then you look at the back end of it, and everything is going through a process and procedure that fits an argument you're having by the merit that I think we didn't see the world before when it comes to something like immigration. I think we just didn't see the world closely enough. We would have this National Geographic look at developing nations where they would just focus in on the needy, and they would also focus in on the qualities of culture and food that were also present there. And so we're just seeing this one aspect of, effectively the poor in those countries with very little context. And then you had, up until the pandemic, you had our travel culture. Oh my God, the level of fucking middle class up fucking travel culture in my world, at least in the American Northeast, and I know happening big time in various other places all around the world. Everybody was just fucking booking. Well, I would look at a fucking flight, and I'd look at my goddamn economic situation. I'd be like, what the fuck? So like when they closed all the flights down, it fucking meant nothing to me. I had no fucking trips planned. I had no fucking money planned for trips. Everybody's complaining about these tariffs, and in theory, oh my God, we're ruining the country. Where? I'm looking at my neighborhood. Everything's fucking great. Everything is secure. Everything is chill. I mean, I'm sure I've got Hispanic neighbors that probably have nothing to worry about, but have everything to worry about because of the lies. Right? Um, and so, tariffs. Tariffs haven't ruined one goddamn thing about the economy. I don't lack for anything that fucking matters at all. It literally doesn't matter. It's not hurting. It's not hurting me because some other country's cost in something coming here fucking hits. Right? I mean, it's certainly not affecting the grocery store, despite the absurd way that we fucking export our own food to be processed and then re-import it. What the fuck is that? Why does it need to get on a boat or a plane to do these things? Or even on a fucking truck to Canada or Mexico to do these things, if that's the nation doing it on our behalf. And so I'm sick and tired of having lived long enough to see everybody bitching about the exact opposite of the fucking problems they were bitching about before. Because it was the same big government that let the illegals in, and now they're sending them back. All these people are in an affair with the government. I'm not in an affair with the government. The government has a contract on the straw man birth certificate of me that I have to fucking deal with in pursuit of commerce in certain ways and other legalities in my life that, unfortunately, many of which I don't have a real argument to negate in greater context. But everybody's in the same fucking boat, so nobody is fucking saying to themselves, yes, I fucking love these policies that raise my insurance rates. Nobody's fucking like that anywhere, ever in the universe. So, none of us are really fucking oppressed. And the closer you examine an oppressed person, the closer you realize that they're either a bad person or an idiot. Typically, that's one of the two things, and that's why they're oppressed. And then you're fighting for them and using them as your own straw man because you think you're about to be oppressed, so you're in a state of threat of oppression all the fucking time in your mind. And so that makes the anarchist no better than the socialist. who thinks they are oppressed for being not a white person or something. Hey, what's up, Mr. Mission Control? I think I saw you lurking in the Quite Frankly chat room last night. I've been taking a peek in there. I'm gonna try and go to the show. Frankly's fucking show is happening 5 minutes from my house. He lives in Rye, New York. I live in Greenwich. It's hysterical. I've tried to call in. I even tried to call in last night. Couldn't get an answer. Anyway. It's a troll free-for-all. After troll... Like, wait, was it like organically trolling? Was Frank setting something up? Or was it like just organically necessary? Like, did Frank need to be trolled? Did somebody in the chat room need to be trolled? Or was it like, have fun trolling on purpose? Because I haven't been listening to Frank at all, in a while. It had a lot to do with his shows are long, and I would not see information in his titles. So when I'd see Frankly's thing, I'd be like, well, what's he talking about? I mean, like, because, like, he's, like, going on for 3 hours. He's doing a bunch of things, not just that subject, and half the time it could be something I'm not completely invested in. I mean, like, one of the biggest reasons I want to go to this thing is because I want to hang with Robert Phoenix. Right? I was telling him, just in case he didn't know, in case Frank didn't, he was like, oh, you're going to be at the Capitol Theater? That's a fucking good venue. The Capitol Theater is a good fucking venue. It's a very good venue. Good little mid-sized venue. Usually hippie shit, classic rock, reggae, that kind of thing. But once in a while, they get some killer acts and things like that. After you'll see, it's about the chat room, bro. I know things are really fun, and quite frankly, is a lot of fun. He's built an awesome community that has helped us tremendously. Got a lot of respect for him. Fun stuff. Is what it is. But anyway, it's just neat that a guy like that's out there, and he'll tell stories about things in Greenwich, and I'll see like, do I have any understanding of that situation he's talking about, right? But granted, I've missed 20 million fucking stories because of the things I just mentioned. But yeah, I see this. Oppression is a temporal archetypal psychosis of the human condition under monetization of nature. Yeah, that's pretty good. Monetize. I would say that the monetization is kind of the material parallel to the quantification of everything, which to quantify means to count. Count, right? That's what it means, right? You're counting time. You're counting time in subdivisions. You're counting substance. You're counting substance by the particle, by the quark, by the whatever, right? That's all that fucking means. And then that's also theory, right? Quantum is a theory. It's just like you're now coming up with, because I can count things that you cannot see, I can tell you anything I want about it. And so a lot of people get to jump into this Lovecraftian madness of these scientists through the quantum without really appreciating what it is, because it's trying to rip apart the substance of knowledge of what they're fucking talking about, because then you'd be understanding how energy and matter really work in their relationship, and that would give you the ability to do proper magic and master yourself and your world. Oh, they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that at all. But I do want to show you the moon. Hello, moon. Moonrise. All right. So, we think that ICE is the SS because now we are quantifying our deportation. In other words, we're paying attention to it and counting it, right? Every arrest counts. Every victim counts. Every this counts. Every that counts. And that's why it goes quantum. And it's driving people mad because it's getting down into the minutia while avoiding the details. And because, of course, none of that matters. It's a last-ditch effort to falsify circumstances to find some sort of standing in a court to bring people being arrested back, which can't happen because the deportation is just the beginning of the criminal task forcing for the other crimes being committed beyond I snuck into this country to get work in medicine. Because remember, it's not just, oh, they're here to work. They're also here for our healthcare system. They're also here for all these X, Y, and Z things. This was a great fucking complaint that I kept looking at, where it's just like, okay, I'm not in these situations, although maybe one day I will be, but I know lots of people that are, and it would seem to me that we're wasting time and money on all this. If I want to go to fucking court to deal with a traffic ticket or something like that, I would have to sit in a line where everything that everybody says is repeated in English and Spanish. Every fucking courtroom delegation. Everything. Right? And this is just because of the necessity of the Spanish-speaking subject in the court to understand. It has nothing to do with the new English language standards being established by this administration, which may become a permanency in law in some way, shape, or form down the line, or whatever, right? Because you have to ask yourself a question. Take the government out of all of these arguments, all of them, right? Because, my voice is, I speak to the people that are against government, right? I'm more favorable to an anarchist's world as a great love and respect out of the One Great Work Network and Mark Passio. But you're asking yourself, if you and your family were sitting down and looking at a situation that may be right here in your family neighborhood, what would you decide as a family? If you know most of your neighbors, the neighbors that you know, and you're fucking talking to them, when you're talking to each other, what would you fucking decide to do? If you're gonna be the guy, I'm gonna go fucking pick up my shit and I'm gonna go fucking kick them out myself because they're violating natural law, right? It's just is natural law being violated? If we confirm that that guy came from elsewhere, right? It's it's like strangers are strangers, right? I don't know 90% of the fucking people that live on my fucking block, right? Meaning that 90% of the people that live here, I would not trust on my property or in my home until I've gotten to know them. Maybe a vibe check is appropriate. Maybe a background check is appropriate. Right? Because I have no idea if you are irrationally my enemy. I have no idea if you make your own free will choices to not be a complete piece of shit person. We don't know why crime happens as such and corruption happens as such, but it fucking does. It fucking does. People fucking love to take that low road. People that don't have the fucking integrity to kick ass of themselves and to accept the pointlessness argument, the self-defeating argument. We know these fucking arguments. We know this fucking issue. I did not expect there to be 5 people at this time with the way my live streams usually go. Hey, what's up, Christy? What is that? Is that a diamond? What is it? It's a smiley thing, and I can't tell what's next to the smiley face. Can I turn the light up here and get a clearer picture? I think I can. Oops. That is so small I can't get... It is an aquamarine diamond. Oh, well, thank you. Are you proposing? Because I'm not in the mood getting married. Oh, you're a big guy. Let me see if I can catch you on camera. Let me see. I just saw a massive spider. Oh, he's up there. There he is. There he is. I got him. He's a big boy. Coming out for the night. He's web spinning. He's probably going to spin a good one. What fate shall we weave? Hello, lovely. Alright, I'm going to let him work. And, I'll let somebody walk into that spider web tomorrow morning. Alright. Very cool. It's getting dark. Good camera, though. Anyway. Yes, Web of Weird. Let's see. It's a monarch butterfly. Yeah. Anyway. Whew. I was having a little back and forth discourse. I got to see how that's going with somebody on social media, right? Specifically talking about that tariff situation, right? I just, I got to find a few more things to throw at him, but I gave him tariff statistics. That's what I gave him. I showed him tariffs from 1821 to 2024. And the fact that, okay, because most people make the argument that in the beginning we were this small-ass fucking government. That small-ass government had the largest tariffs in the country's history. Our biggest tariffs were in our first, 50-some-odd years, and then they'd be largely declining. Sometimes they go up a little bit, but they're mostly declining, getting smaller and small, minuscule. And the first time in 80 years or something, Trump raises tariffs. And these tariff raises that people are complaining about are not even as big as shit from maybe 100 years ago, which was not as big as shit from 20 years prior to. It's ridiculous. These and so it's just these tariffs aren't helping the people, they're feeding the government. They are feeding the government. They sure are. And you know what? The government's in debt, whether there's tariffs or not. And then we pay for that debt, whether there's tariffs or not. So if you don't like the fucking tariffs, let's start with fixing the other problems by which the tariffs are trying to help alleviate the suffering of what has been our money getting sucked out because of all the things we want to fucking spend in government. Sorry that you're losing that argument. Spend some time working on your argument, working on the reach, working on the audience, the education, vocabulary. Just stop circling the fucking drain with complaints to ideology and a handful of supporting statistics to your confirmation bias, and actually get in a fucking verbal, civil discourse with people that are gonna be real fucking sharp against you, and don't fucking lose it because they have a good retort, right? There's all sorts of things. The suckiest of things is your capability, what level of capability you can hold face, right? Because either your argument's strong enough or it's not, right? And, you don't want to fucking destroy your whole movement and set it back by 10 fucking 20 years because you were the champion of the idea and you fucking botched it, right? Just like many of the arguments we see about, like, racism, right? Black people on the left losing their shit, losing their argument, sets back the whole race discussion, right? And at the same time, it's also stupid because black people that are on their fucking shit, they're not oppressed at all, they're fucking happy as clams, they ain't got not one goddamn problem with a white man, they get it. They fucking get it because it's this huge thing swallowing everyone's head, right? Our culture that agrees to certain things, including the persistence of the existence of government, is swallowing your head like that. This is your Thor wrestling Jormungandr. Would you like to pay the price when you defeat him in 9 days? Because you want to defeat Jormungandr? You're not going to fucking make it out alive. You got to make that sacrifice for everyone else. That's what Thor did. Thor saved the world by defeating the unbeatable foe. He falls himself by that foe's poison, but he did beat him to liberate the world. So you want to break Jormungandr, you want to break government, you want to break the culture that supports it, you want to break the psyop that drives the false within the culture, pay a price. I paid my price. When I was born again, Thunar rewarded me. And here I stand, a much different man than I was 5 years ago, and grateful for it. And many of you know that story because of how long you've fucking been with me, stuck with me, and I love you for fucking that. Because goddamn, to open your mouth the way I do is to deal with people saying, who the fuck does this guy think he is? What the fuck does he think he knows? Why the fuck does he think he's so fucking right? And why the fuck do I care? Because look at this guy. He doesn't even have 1,000 subs. He's no fucking good. I don't have to worry about him. He's not in it for fucking popular. I'm never gonna have to fucking argue with him because I only fucking deal with people that have like 10,000 plus subs. Then we can get into debates and have people on your show and yada yada yada, right? It's different tiers. It's like weight classes in fighting. It's like league classes during the playoffs. It's performance record. My production is very hokey, right? It reflects my budget. I have a very fucking. I don't even have an expensive fucking computer, but I have a computer that is expensive for me. If that shit fucking breaks down, I might be fucked for a few months. I do not have fucking priority budgets right now for a new fucking computer so I can fucking keep up with giving you that fucking production. I might have to just get, I'll probably get like a cheaper laptop and do less things. Yeah, mend the gaps so they are usable and lubed up. What? Why are we lubing? What are we lubing up? We're the Medicaid reps is or free son. Are we lubing up the Sonic Temple? What are we lubing up? What's getting lubed up, Mr. Mission Control? Do I need to know about your baby oil situation? I don't want to know about your oils. No strange parties from. Well, no, plenty of strange parties for me. But not those kinds of parties. No SRA allowed. Right? This is why the right sounds fucking absurd. Why is the right, as far as the people that want to change things, why are they fucking obsessed with, um, with like the Epstein thing with quote pedophiles, or hebephiliacs or so? There's a specific word for guys that are into um, teenage girls, which is it's like a subset of pedophilia that has certain legal specifications, because it is very different, because there's this gray area where a girl of a teenage year is smart enough to think they can just have their own fucking agency, right? It can be very dangerous, right? There's a lot of 16-year-olds that become whores, and the punishment for them being a whore at 16 is way less than you being a grown man buying a whore in general, let alone a fucking 16-year-old whore. Okay? So, it's because nobody's fucking oppressed, right? Um, or they're being foolishly patient for things that they believe are on the horizon, but yet they've been totally derelict of duty and framing the argument obsessively off mark, and it's now allowed all this room for the ashes of the Me Too movement to pop up and exploit the Epstein thing to be a failed distraction, because they're going to have their whole framing argument with their fucking testimonies and shit, and it's going to be all sorts of things that have nothing to do with the connections on the globalist level to the international syndicates, and particularly MI5, MI6, Mossad, of the Maxwell connections, as well as the Epstein connections, but actually mostly, it's not that upsetting that, it's a little upsetting because we still could have used various things in testimony. Maybe we have everything, maybe we don't. But it's, at the very least, Ghislaine is here, and Ghislaine's actually more important, right? Ghislaine was, she probably was more on the books, right? Where Jeff was more of the host of the ceremonies, right? And got to have his pleasure pick, but it was her in the background. She got to have her pleasure picks too, but she was the one that was much more interested in all that management shit, right? Because she cared, because the agenda behind all of that shit is connected to the agenda of her circumstances, of her life, from her father, family, and connections in the globalist system. Nobody wants to fucking talk about Terramar and what the fuck that's all about. Nobody wants to talk about Terramar. We barely want to talk about the genetics investments of Epstein either. Right? This is the bullshit. This is the bullshit. So yeah, we're oppressed in theory. We're really not oppressed. There can be a younger generation that has ideas for their freedom, their abundance and success, that may have been incepted by bad media in their head and things of this nature. Maybe. Then again, people can also say the same thing about anybody else they don't understand, especially if it's a younger generation that doesn't know. You gotta grow up, you gotta transcend into something that fucking works. You need to grow up and transcend into something that works, because that's what fucking happened to me. Right? I didn't want me kicking my own ass into shape to have been the ticket. I planned on doing that, but I also thought I was going to have a handful of things ironed out where I was going to be able to take care of just enough of my living expenses where, okay, I can exercise now. I can dedicate an hour a day. Why not? Da 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 da. And then eventually I would have gotten there, right? Honestly, that was all there in my mind, but you know, I have to serve better as an example by my failures corrected than I am by my great successes. Especially because, I'm doing way better now, because all of the skills are unlocking, all the practical talents and all that stuff. The resume is getting stacked up with more excellent details of my abilities. I'm probably going to be able to work very steadily now for much more of my life moving forward because of all of these things that I've done now and stacked it up. A lot of people, they may do a handful of things, but they don't fucking go for the full, they don't go for a full-blown transformation. I don't blame them because, full-blown transformation cost me everything too. I don't have all the friends that I had back in 2020. Still have some of them. I mean, a lot of it was more me walking away through my growth. But then also, it's just like you change so much. It's just like, I like you guys, but man, fuck, I don't relate to you anymore. I can't have these fucking conversations. And honestly, it's also a revelation that I never could have many of these conversations. I didn't realize how much people didn't want to fucking go into certain depths of understanding. They couldn't apply the fucking consciously to the trivium and the quadrivium to fucking crack open their fucking mind field to see it all. It's unfortunate, right? And I had my time, like other little things. It's not just the waking up process. It's also, I had my time where I was very pro-Trump. I used to have a lot of old videos from this basement that I still fucking broadcast from today, back in the day, up until the end of 2020, when I felt like the way the election went was a betrayal from that fucking person that lost because of the way he handled it and the fight against the fraud of it, right? Which was part of a good lesson I needed, right? Was seeing that this is like this because the people are living in protest of that election anyway. Like we figured that part out, right? The Biden era lost because it was a lie that the country was behind it. And the results in 2024 were proof of that. There's no way under all those circumstances, after having lost already, should a man like that have won, except by the merit that perhaps it's true that he secretly had a 2020 landslide. But yeah, we had to get through a year and a half of Biden's 4 years, which were hardcore. But, since they gave up on that, they've also lost control of everything else. I mean, like, I have felt like a free spirit in these lands since the vaccine mandates were lifted, right? Because a lot of other things that carried on through the pandemic also went with it. What I mean by carried on is I mean including leftovers from the first 4 years, right? Because so much more of those 4 years was psychic. You know, it was not it was not as clear in actually doing things as much as it was the political debates and needing to beat all of these debates, because eventually distraction subjects would get fucking destroyed until mainline subjects came in. And those didn't last very long because they didn't want you to have a psychic effect of it. So they would quietly give you the win. Quietly give you the win because they're trying not to fucking further the damage done, because it goes into the incriminating grounds. So their crimes are kind of like your liberation in that respect. For all we know, the biggest favor we were done by Don in his betrayal in that press conference about why we're still talking about Epstein is because that may be a crucial key to our freedom, which is why he said, "Oh, look at our nation is on top of the fucking universe. Why are you gonna drag it down with this?" Because either Trump administration is wielding blackmail for his agenda, and his agenda is doing good for us, or he's destroyed all that blackmail to set everyone free, and everybody is losing their ability to oppress us by their own merits instead of succeeding in oppress us by the merits of the blackmailers. Ever thought of that? Ever thought of that? That's why I did the Ep-Who video, and I was just like, see, that's your vote stabbing you in the back, because you voted for a specific delivery instead of the right things to be done, because you got caught up in the rationales of the witch hunt logic. You thought you did enough work to comfortably go into this because you felt strongly that the political focus was going to serve the course and do it right. Right? Organized attack as such. But you're attacking a straw man. Epstein is a great straw man that actually did it, but yet still is set up for you in straw man parlance as far as being available to do anything that gets people arrested, because you're hoping that the arrest shuts people up that are evil once and for all. Right, that's what you're hoping. You're hoping it shuts them up. You're hoping that it purges the evil people out, and that you can at least deal with this under clear terms, because there's no dark nefarity, right? Because Epstein was the great linchpin to every little deep state thing. When I wouldn't say that that's exactly right. And I would say, if you want to understand things a little bit better, you get a hint of what I'm talking about if you actually listen to my recent interview with Melissa Morton on this channel, Dr. Sean David Morton's widow. If you get a chance to read Sean's book, Sands of Time, that will explain to you a few things going on the exopolitical level, for what that's worth to whatever may be going on up there. That's a long-ass history, and I don't make a big focus of this the way other people that studied all that stuff did, all because I was trying to wrap my head around everything, especially because I wanted to find what was the most important things to really talk about. Is it the most important thing to go after the head evil in the spiritual world? Or is it the most important thing to fight the problems right in front of my face? And you know what? The problems right in front of your face win every fucking time. Because that which is in the existential can't fucking touch you. And let it stay there where you can affirm that it is fucking afraid of you. If there's a great invisible evil in this world that allegedly has a mothership that can destroy my fucking house from fucking space, then that guy is a bitch. He won't fucking pull the trigger because he should have pulled the trigger on me 12 years ago. Because I've been doing this shit for a long time and working in an alternative platform that at that time, small audience, quality audience, we knew important people were quietly listening. And if I believe that's true, then I believe that what I said impressed upon them and it instigated, triggered, caused a transformation in the world. And that's a little thing I believe in. I'll never have a true confirmation of that. It'll never be a true bragging right. But it's just something I carry in my heart when I look around. It's something that I feel when I go to the store and I legally buy my weed, because 15 years ago, I fucking bitched and complained to the state Congress and said, we need medical, we need decriminalization in this state. And gave X, Y, and Z scientific, rational, and civic reasons, as well as socially conscious, therapeutic arguments. I gave every little, I wrapped it up all nicely in a bow and cited the US patent, and I did a whole lot of work that a lot of other people that were way more professional than me didn't do in the hours and hours of testimony to the Hartford Congress. But I busted my ass lobbying for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws and fucking succeeded in droves. And for the last 4 fucking years, 3-4 years, I have been bathing in the world that I helped forge, right? And I always talk about that. That I can brag about. That, there's a fucking public record somewhere. I'm probably on tape making my statements. Where I get those, I don't know. I probably should go to the Hartford website, poke my nose around. If I can get the clips, I would fucking put the clips up like, hey, look at me 15 years ago making weed legal eventually. You know, I love that. I love, you know, sometimes I talk to people and I get a chance to fucking tell them my bragging rights about the matter. Hey, did you know I went to Congress in 2010? I'm the one that put the U.S. patent on for the record in their fucking, the whole fucking 9 yards, right? I've always been doing this. Always been doing this. 2010 was 2 years before I started fucking talking in public like this. This has been the most extraordinarily exciting times for me in that respect. I still have my things that bug me to no end that aren't going to go away. You know, I'm still, I'm still in a place where it's just like, oh, look at all the wonderful things I want to do that I can't fucking afford, or can't afford because I wouldn't want to take the time off, because I could probably go take the time off. I could probably afford to go and go for 2 weeks. I can't miss 2 weeks of work. I'm not like that, right? A lot of people don't want to fucking make the life sacrifices to the companies and the careers to have that kind of situation with paid vacations and all sorts of various extra amenities for retirement and insurance and things like that. Like I have very little of that. pretty much I don't have that, right? Um, because I'm one of the many souls that couldn't correspond with the boomer world that the parents made for me. It's just like my mom and dad fucking sitting there in this fucking world and saying, oh man, my son's gonna love this world, this awesome world we're in. It's just like, no, I don't. I don't love it at all. In fact, it all gives me anxiety, and I'm gonna have a temper tantrum for 15 years of my life. I'm gonna ruin the first 15 years of my life being a terrible child because I unconsciously don't know how to fucking tell you how evil you are for um, for the situation that um, is on me for who I want to be, right? You know, you start, you know, it's just like you want to fucking argue about trannies. I just want to fucking grow my hair out because I saw because I started listening to Metallica and I saw the Black Album and I looked at the band cover and I saw what the band looked like and I was just like, long hair, whoa, that's kind of cool. You watch the music video and they're headbanging and it's just like, wow, that is ferocious. Like that's cool. That's cool. That's a cool guy. I want to be a cool guy. It's just like, you know, I was 12 years old. You know? It's like, oh, great, I've fallen in love with another thing that my parents disapprove of. It's just like, because all these things I liked, parents didn't like them. And then I was accused of being a rebel because I wouldn't get a haircut. Or it's just like, rebel, I just like long hair. I'm not rebelling. Right? So, listen, I can give you a 101 course of oppression in theory, just how my parents treated me in my preteen years. God damn, but fucking and through it all. All right? I mean, a great deal of what you've heard coming from, you know, both sides in different asinine ways is a lot of repressed paternal issues. Mother and father's inadequacies or overbearingnesses and such. You sail the boat forward, not in reverse. Yeah, you could say that. True, we have. Okay, yes. Connectivity to 2 moon bases with my Geo Sentinel. Why you have. That's why we have broadswords. I don't know what that's about. 2 moon bases with my... What is the Geo Sentinel? Just tell me what the Geo Sentinel is. That's all I want to know, Mr. Mission Control. What is the Geo... I never heard of that. That sounds interesting. You're talking about moon bases. Is that a video game? Is that like a... Is that a ufology, like, space cult thing? Like, what is... What are these things you're talking about? Just let me know that. I want to get going because... I gotta wind down before I go to bed now. It's a geohazards forecasting fused sensor array. Okay. All right. Geohazards forecasting fused sensor array. It's an AI prompt chain basic. Oh, okay. Well, look, AI. Oh, look, man. AI. You've seen me use AI in partial reference, which I only use AI to check in on consensus. I'm not using AI for truth. I'm using AI for checking in on consensus. Saying like, okay, here's what I say. What does AI say compared to me? And then it's the question of what am I using the consensus agreement established by artificial intelligence to work with my argument? Do I have to pick AI apart to do it, right? So anyway, check your posts, brother. The posts, what, on your channel? I don't think I noticed posts on your channel. Wait, am I even following you? I may not be following you. Forgive me if I'm not following you. I'll follow you after the stream if that's the case. I hadn't seen you in so long, and sometimes I'm just cleaning house because it's just like, oh my god, I got 50 million subs on this channel and I can't fucking find this, that, and the other thing, and I don't see these people anymore. I don't even know, right? So I love staying in touch with people when they care, right? Sometimes I don't know who cares. I get overwhelmed. What we got here? One second. That. Oh wow, it's 9 o'clock. I thought it was only like 8 something. Yeah, I gotta go. Copilot. Okay, AI. Okay, Microsoft Copilot. Got it. All right. Just in case I can't get that link after this stream, please post it somewhere, like I don't know if you can link in the comment sections. If you can't, then maybe just break up the link and then I'll fucking piece it together with a copy paste on my end. So anyway, yeah, I've made my point on the oppression theory. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you guys. Tomorrow's my last day with this crawl space assignment that I'm doing, and then starting fucking Sunday afternoon, I'm starting a new assignment, and it's gonna be an evening situation. I gotta go in, it'll be full time, but I gotta go in at 2. I gotta go in at 2 o'clock, and basically I'm working 2 to 10. But I'm gonna be closer. I'm gonna be just the next town over instead of 2 towns over, which is great. So it's gonna be a short commute, and it's gonna be way easier. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be standing most of the time, and maybe a little bit of heavy lifting because I'm assuming there's gonna be some cleanup involved. It's a hotel renovation situation. We'll see what's up. All right. Thank you so much. Peace out, people.